You finished work hours ago, so why does your body still feel like it's waiting for something? Why do you finally sit down to relax and immediately feel restless? Why does doing nothing sometimes feel more uncomfortable than staying busy? A lot of people assume this means they're bad at resting, but the real issue may be something else entirely. Your nervous system may no longer believe the workday is actually over.
Modern work environments expose people to something the human brain struggles with exceptionally poorly: continuous low-grade uncertainty. Not emergencies, not disasters, just endless micro-demands. Another notification, another message, another update, another reorganization, another request, another thing to monitor. Research in neuroscience has shown that uncertainty itself increases vigilance and threat monitoring in the brain. In many cases, uncertainty is actually more psychologically activating than known negative outcomes. That matters because many workplaces now operate in a state of permanent ambiguity. Priorities change constantly, communication never fully stops, expectations remain unclear, employees are expected to adapt continuously. And over time, the nervous system begins treating everyday work life like an environment requiring constant anticipation. Not because people are weak, because the brain evolved to detect unpredictability as potential danger. Your body cannot recover while expecting interruption. One of the biggest misconceptions about burnout is that exhausted people naturally know how to recover. But chronic stress changes how the brain and body respond to rest itself. Researchers studying stress and the brain have found that prolonged activation reshapes neural systems involved in attention, emotional regulation, vigilance, and resilience. In simple terms, your nervous system adapts to the environment it experiences repeatedly. So if your daily life trains your body to expect interruption, urgency, and cognitive overload, stillness can start feeling unfamiliar. And unfamiliar often feels unsafe to the nervous system. This is why so many people sit down to rest and immediately check their phone, look for stimulation, start multitasking, or feel guilty for not being productive. Not because they enjoy it, because their body has learned that disengagement is temporary, that interruption is always coming. Researchers studying vigilance and cognitive workload have found something important. Maintaining attention under continuous monitoring conditions is mentally exhausting, even when the tasks themselves don't appear physically demanding. In other words, constant monitoring drains the brain. And modern work increasingly requires people to remain psychologically on all day long, watching messages, tracking updates, context switching, monitoring tone, anticipating problems, managing ambiguity. This creates what many neuroscientists and psychologists now describe as cognitive load overload. Too many open loops, too many unresolved demands, too many competing signals for attention. The result is not just stress, it's nervous system fatigue. And because many high performers continue functioning while dysregulated, they often don't realize how depleted they've become. They assume, this is just adulthood. This is just leadership. This is just modern life. But functioning and recovering are not the same thing. High functioning does not always mean healthy functioning. High performers are particularly vulnerable to nervous system exhaustion because many were rewarded early in life for hyper-responsiveness, being adaptable, being productive, being emotionally self-contained, anticipating needs before anyone asked. These traits are often celebrated professionally, until eventually the person becomes indispensable, but physiologically overwhelmed. And what makes this difficult is that high-functioning burnout rarely looks dramatic in the beginning. It often looks like emotional flatness, brain fog, irritability, difficulty enjoying downtime, feeling tired but unable to stop, needing constant stimulation just to feel normal. Research on burnout consistently shows that workplace stressors and burnout reinforce one another over time in a feedback loop. The more depleted people become, the harder it becomes to recover. And many continue performing long after their nervous system has begun struggling. A lot of burnout conversations focus only on individual coping skills. But organizational psychology research consistently shows that workplace structure itself plays a major role in nervous system strain. Poor communication, lack of predictability, low psychological safety, continuous change without recovery periods. High demand combined with low control. These conditions are strongly associated with stress-related nervous system activation. One of the strongest protective factors researchers repeatedly identify is perceived control. When people feel they have agency, predictability, and support, stress becomes more manageable neurologically. But many modern workplaces unintentionally create the opposite experience: constant adaptation without stability, continuous responsiveness without closure, pressure without psychological recovery. Eventually, the nervous system stops fully standing down. A lot of employees are trying to survive chronic nervous system strain while ignoring support systems that already exist around them. Mental health benefits, therapy coverage, coaching, employee assistance programs, preventive care, stress management support, flexible work resources. And many people avoid using these resources because they think, I should be able to handle this myself. But nervous system exhaustion is not a personal failure. It's a biological response to prolonged psychological demand. The healthiest high performers are usually not the people who push themselves the hardest. They're the people who proactively reduce strain before stress becomes damage. And research increasingly suggests that recovery works best when support happens early, before burnout becomes severe or chronic. Your nervous system responds to repeated cues of safety, predictable recovery time, boundaries, social support, sleep protection, reduced cognitive overload. These are not indulgences. They are maintenance requirements for the human brain. A lot of people think they're failing at rest, but many are trying to recover inside systems that continuously train vigilance. And understanding that changes the question completely. Instead of asking, "What's wrong with me?" you begin asking, "What environment has my body adapted to? And what support does my nervous system actually need?" Because the goal is not becoming perfectly calm all the time. The goal is helping your body relearn that not every moment requires anticipation, monitoring, or performance, that safety is possible, that rest is allowed, that your worth is not measured by how continuously activated you can remain. If this resonated, subscribe for more videos about burnout, nervous system regulation, workplace well-being, and the hidden psychological effects of modern work. And if your workplace already offers support for mental health and well-being, consider this your reminder. You do not have to wait until you completely fall apart to use it.